Good Monday morning. I hope you are doing well. Father Matt Williams here in my parked car as I'm getting back into work after a week at the Theology Body Institute. I'm at the Pastoral Center in Braintree. In today's gospel from Luke, Jesus says, "Be merciful just as your Father is merciful." Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. Interestingly enough, in the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 2, the Lord God says to his people, "Be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." And now we hear Jesus say, "Be merciful just as your Father is merciful." What's going on there? Well, to be holy means to be set apart, to be not like the worldly, to not be like the common, to be set apart for God and God alone. God is not worldly, God is not secular, God is holy, all good, all beauty, all truth. And so God was inviting his people, his holy people, to be set apart, to stay away from things that would make them impure or unclean. They were all supposed to be a light. They were all supposed to be a light to the nations, to the Gentiles. But in some ways, the way they interpreted that is they separated themselves from all that was not of God, all that people that were not of God, not particularly his own. And so in doing so, yes, they were trying to be holy, but they were not being a leaven to the world. They were not being a light to the nations to which they were called to be. Jesus today in the gospel says, "Be holy, be merciful, just as your Father is merciful." What is he saying here? Yes, be in the world, but do not be of the world. Do not necessarily separate yourself from people. Rather, become a leaven by which people come to know the light of Christ. Be merciful. In other words, bring the good news of Jesus to everyone. Don't segregate, don't pull yourself apart, don't start labeling people, but rather bring Jesus' love and mercy to others, especially those who are hardest to love. Remember what Jesus says, I'm going to paraphrase, but he basically says something like this: if you love people that are easy to love or people that are good to you, what merit has that? The pagans do the same, right? But we're supposed to be marked as Christians by the way that we love and the way that we serve others, especially those who are hard to love and those who are hard to affirm. Sometimes it can even be our very own. Not necessarily all the time, but sometimes it can be challenging to go there. Yet the cross invites you and me to deny to ourselves, to die to ourselves, deny ourselves, and to do that which is difficult, to do hard things for Christ. And then what's Jesus' promise in the gospel, right? He says, give, and then gifts will be given to you. Good measure, packed together, shaken down, and overflowing will be poured into your lap. Now, he's using an analogy. In the ancient world, in their robes, their cloaks that they would wear, they would somehow tuck it around their belt, and they would fill, when they were carrying wheat or grain or whatever they'd be carrying from the fields, they would somehow make a container with their cloak, and they would fill as much of it in so that way they can stuff in as much as they can so that they don't leave anything behind, or can take as much home as they can. And they'd shake it down so that they could stuff it so they could get as much in there as possible. So what Jesus is saying is that, like, God doesn't get outdone in generosity. When you take care of God's own, God takes care of you. So as we begin this Monday, expect that there's going to be challenges. There's going to be people hard to love or situations hard to deal with. But Jesus says, be merciful, for your Father is merciful. And when you do so, the light of Christ will shine forth, and God will bless you, because he never gets outdone in generosity. God bless you. Have a great day. Pray for me as I pray for you.